Chapter 22-25. Lu Ming was speechless. How could this guy say anything? Sure enough, the Gu family's members were enraged. Even the old men were enraged, emitting terrifying auras. Oh, Emperor, we're in big trouble this time because of Dandan. Lu Ming sensed that two of them were emitting Emperor auras. Hey, what are you doing? The Gu family is known as the family of gentlemen. Every one of you calls yourself a gentleman. Are you trying to bully the weak with numbers? Dandan shouted. That shout caused the eyes of the Gu clan's elders and middle-aged men to flicker, and they all retracted their auras. However, the flames of fury in their eyes were still burning. How dare you insult our Gu family's ancestor? You must be taught a lesson. Otherwise, you'll think that our Gu family is easy to bully. Our Gu family won't bully the weak with numbers. Today, let me challenge you. A cold voice sounded, and then a young man stepped out. This young man wore a jade crown on his head and wore a long robe. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, looking extremely handsome. Seeing this young man walking out, the Gu family's members didn't stop him. Instead, they were confident in this young man. His cultivation is too weak. I'm not interested. Lu Ming, I'll leave him to you. Dandan waved his hand, showing no interest. This made the young man in white even angrier. I'm Guingzhong. Who wants to enlighten me? The young man in white suppressed his anger and cupped his fists. The members of the Gu family are all gentlemen. Lu Ming thought. On the way here, he had heard Dandan mention this Gu family. According to Dandan, the Gu family was a bunch of stubborn blockheads who didn't know how to be flexible. Now that he looked at it, it was indeed so. However, Dandan had a good relationship with the Gu family in the past. I'm Lu Ming, please. Lu Ming stepped out and cupped his fists. Be careful, Guingzhong warned. Then, a sword chime sounded, and a long sword appeared in Guingzhong's hand. A brilliant sword ray slashed at Lu Ming. 3-star illusionary emperor. The moment Guingzhong made a move, Lu Ming saw through Guingzhong's cultivation. Boom! Lu Ming made his move. He was very direct as he struck out with his palm. He did not use any precepts in this attack. It was purely an explosion of his physical body and saint energy. Boom! Lu Ming's palm slammed into his opponent's sword light. The sword light trembled unceasingly, and the sword whistled unceasingly. In the end, the sword light collapsed, and Lu Ming's figure retreated dozens of meters. What a powerful fleshly body. Are you an ancient body cultivator? No, your power is holy power. You haven't become an emperor yet. At first, Guing thought that Lu Ming was an archaic body cultivator. But then he realized that Lu Ming was using saint power. Once he became an emperor, his saint energy would transform into world energy. However, Lu Ming was still using saint energy, which meant that Lu Ming had not become an emperor yet. This greatly shocked Guing. The rest of the Gu family were also shocked. He had not become an emperor yet, but he could take Gu Ying's attack. This kind of strength was shocking enough. After all, Guing was the #1 genius of the Gu family. He was a rare figure in the Gu family. Use your full strength. You can't win against me like this. Lu Ming said. He knew that Guing had not used his full strength at all. Just now it was just a probing attack. You haven't become an emperor yet. Although your combat strength is amazing, you're no match for me. Guing spoke again, full of confidence. I haven't fought with my full strength. How do you know? Lu Ming was also very confident. In that case, let's fight. Guing revealed his fighting spirit. His long sword vibrated, and the sword whistled unceasingly. The power of precepts burst out, causing Gu Ying's sword chi to become even more shocking. 2 types of precepts. One is the strongest precepts, and the other is the kingly precepts. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Swoosh! Guing moved again. He became one with his sword, turned into a sword light, and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming grasped the void, and the sword of death condensed. At the same time, a long river of precepts appeared on his body. This time, it really shocked the Gu family. Oh my god, what did I just see? 4 types of precepts. He has mastered 4 types of precepts. He hasn't become an emperor yet. How can he master 4 types of precepts? Legend has it that my Gu family has an ancestor who was extremely talented. Before he became an emperor, he also mastered many types of precepts. There was a heated discussion among the Gu family. Gu Ying's eyes flickered, but his sword light did not stop, and he continued to attack Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming waved the sword of death and faced it head-on. Boom! The two collided, and an astonishing collision broke out. Sword chi wantonly, and many Gu family members were forced to retreat. After the two collided, their bodies shook, and they retreated dozens of meters. The difference was that Lu Ming retreated a shorter distance. Second realm of the strongest law. This person is not weaker than Blue Cloud, Yin Shi, and the others. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Guing had two types of precepts, and his strongest one had already reached the second realm. Moreover, his cultivation was a 3-star illusionary emperor. There was no doubt that he was a top-notch sky pride. If it was before, Lu Ming's sword of death only contained 4 types of precepts, and he would not be a match for such a sky pride. However, Lu Ming's physical body was twice as strong as before because of the condensation of the ancestral dragon's blood. This also made Lu Ming's combat strength stronger. Therefore, Lu Ming only had to use 4 types of precepts to gain the upper hand now. Again. The battle intent in Gu Ying's eyes grew stronger, and his aura suddenly strengthened. 3 types of precepts. Lu Ming's eyes moved slightly, and a 3rd type of precepts appeared on Gu Ying's body. This was a type of precepts of the monarch Dao, and it seemed to have reached the second realm. This was a sky pride who was stronger than Blue Cloud, Yin Shi, and the others. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sword light pierced through the air and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the sword of death and charged towards his opponent. Clang! Clang! The two collided continuously in the air, and sword chi overflowed, and the sword whistled for thousands of miles. Fortunately, the people of the Gu family took action. A layer of light screen blocked the purple bamboo forest below. Otherwise, the purple bamboo forest within thousands of miles would be destroyed by the sword chi. Both of them were very fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged hundreds of blows. Roar! The more they fought, the faster the blood chi in Lu Ming's body circulated. There was a dragon's roar in his body, and a layer of dragon scales appeared on the surface of his skin. Lu Ming was also stunned. Back then, when his cultivation was still weak, dragon scales would appear on the surface of his skin because of the 9 dragons bloodline. However, as his cultivation increased, he could already control the 9 dragons bloodline as he wished, and dragon scales no longer appeared on his surface. But now, when he circulated his body to the extreme, a layer of dragon scales appeared on the surface of his body. Perhaps this has something to do with the ancestral dragon's blood. Lu Ming thought of the ancestral dragon's blood. Chapter 22-26. Lu Ming became more and more courageous as the battle went on. Even though Guing had used 3 types of laws, 2 of which were at the second realm, they were still blocked by Lu Ming. It was difficult for him to do anything to Lu Ming. Clang! Suddenly, Gu Ying's long sword buzzed, and the sword light became even brighter. This is the 4th level of law. This time, even Lu Ming was shocked. Guing had actually mastered the 4th type of law, which was also a kind of king law. But fortunately, it was not at the second realm, but only at the first realm. But this was no small matter. A 3-star illusionary emperor, and at such a young age, had already mastered 4 types of laws. One of the strongest types of law, 3 of the king laws. And among them, the strongest type of law, and one of the king laws had reached the second realm, and the other 2 king laws were also at the first realm of perfection. This kind of talent was amazing. For example, Blue Cloud and Yin Shi, who were known as the top geniuses of the heaven domain, were about the same age as Guing, but they had only mastered 2 types of laws. I didn't expect that the Gu family would produce another top genius, Dandan whispered, and his eyes were also full of admiration. Many of the Gu family members also showed a proud look. Boom! Using the 4th type of law, although it was only at the first realm of perfection, it also increased Gu Ying's strength by a lot. This time, Lu Ming was sent flying by the impact. Lu Ming, I have to admit that your strength is indeed amazing, and it's the first time I've seen it in my life. Seeing that it's not easy for you to cultivate today's matter, You can leave. Guing said. Thank you. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Guing could indeed be called a gentleman, and this kind of bearing was not something that everyone had. However, Lu Ming's purpose of coming today had not been achieved, so how could he leave just like that? But the battle between you and me is not over yet. Lu Ming smiled again. You haven't used your full strength yet? Gu Ying's eyes narrowed, and he said solemnly. Of course. Lu Ming smiled, and the color of the death sword in his hand became even more dazzling. And there were 2 more colors. They were the alchemy and equipment laws. 6 laws. Guing cried out in surprise, his eyes revealing a look of disbelief. The other members of the Gu family were also shocked. He had not even become a martial emperor, yet he could control 6 types of laws. This was simply unbelievable. Could it be that the legends were true? That one of their ancestors had controlled many kinds of laws before becoming an emperor? Originally, there were some people who were skeptical about the legend of their ancestor being able to control many kinds of laws before becoming a martial emperor. That was because such a thing was simply too inconceivable. Furthermore, such a long time had passed. Who knew if that legend was true or false? However, after seeing Lu Ming today, they knew that the legend was true. But their shock was not over yet, because a hammer appeared in Lu Ming's left hand. Hammer of Chaos. It was composed of the law of primal chaos and 6 other laws. At this moment, the people from the Gu family were completely stunned. Even Guingzhong was the same. After a long while they finally reacted. Heavens! Supreme laws of nature. 2 supreme laws of nature. A person who has not yet become an emperor not only controls many kinds of laws, but also 2 supreme laws of nature at the same time. How did he do it? Unbelievable, unbelievable. Whether it was the old or the young of the Gu family, they were all shocked beyond words. Controlling 2 supreme laws of nature had completely broken their understanding of the laws. Naturally, they were shocked. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, figures flew out from the depths of the purple bamboo forest. There were at least 100 of them, and a few of them exuded an astonishing cultivation base. They were all martial emperors. Lu Ming secretly sighed. The heaven realm was indeed the heaven realm. After countless years of inheritance, the experts were indeed astonishing. It was just the Gu family, but there were already 4 or 5 martial emperors. It was really hard to imagine. For example, there were not many martial emperors in the entire territory of the primordial mountain. In fact, it was not that the strength of the primordial realm was really so different from the heaven realm. There was a gap, but it would not be so ridiculous. The main reason was that many powerhouses of the primordial realm had left the primordial realm and came to the heaven realm to participate in the war and cultivate. For example, some of the overlord forces in the divine fate land were also very powerful. Many powerhouses stayed there. Greetings, Patriarch. The people of the Gu family bowed one after another to a middle-aged elegant man. This person was the Patriarch of the Gu family. All right, let's end this battle here. The Patriarch of the Gu family said. Yes. Guing nodded heavily, withdrew his aura, and took a few steps back. The Patriarch of the Gu family looked at Lu Ming, full of amazement, and said, I didn't expect that there would be such a person in this world. Before becoming a martial emperor, he has already mastered multiple laws, and even 2 supreme laws of nature. What a miracle! Patriarch Gu, you flatter me. It's a pity that it's difficult to become a martial emperor. Lu Ming sighed. Indeed, my Gu family's ancestor also had an amazing figure. Before becoming a martial emperor, he also mastered multiple laws of nature. In the end, he did not become a martial emperor. What a pity. You all came here because you heard the legend of my Gu family's ancestor, right? The Patriarch of the Gu family said. That's right, that's indeed the case. Lu Ming nodded. Since you have something to ask of us, why are you insulting my Gu family's ancestor? What is the meaning of this? An elder of the Gu family walked out, still looking a little indignant. The Patriarch of the Gu family also looked at Dandan. What insult? What do you juniors know? I already know Gu Xingyue, Gu Xingxing, and the others. Gu Lingtian, who has mastered multiple laws before becoming a martial emperor, is also my good friend. Dandan said casually. You dare? The people of the Gu family were furious. The patriarch of the Gu family raised his hand, and the people of the Gu family quieted down. May I ask who are you? The patriarch of the Gu family asked. Then you'll have to see clearly. Dandan curled his lips. His body suddenly changed, and he transformed into his original form. Then his body rapidly expanded into an incomparably huge tortoise, floating in the sky. This is the legendary top 10 battle beasts, the world divine tortoise. Someone exclaimed in shock. Everyone of the Gu family widened their eyes. The top 10 battle beasts had become legends by now, and they had long been forgotten. In the ancient war, the top 10 battle beasts were either dead or injured. They had long disappeared without a trace. Many people speculated that the top 10 battle beasts might have all died in battle. They did not expect that one of the top 10 battle beasts, the world divine tortoise, would actually appear here. You are the legendary senior tortoise? The patriarch of the Gu family was the first to react. Of course it's me, the old man. The giant tortoise said, and then quickly shrank, turning into a little Taoist priest. Senior tortoise, what's with your cultivation? The patriarch of the Gu family asked. His attitude became respectful. Chapter 22-27. Sigh, it's all because of the battle back then. I almost died. If it weren't for my peerless strength, you wouldn't be able to see me now. Dandan sighed at first, but he soon became energetic and said, Who's the oldest in the Gu family now? The oldest in the Gu family now is the son of ancestor Ling Tian, ancestor Gu Xinghui. Gu Xinghui, so it's that little brat. Ask him to come see me. Dandan said casually, acting like a senior expert. The eyelids of the other members of the Gu family twitched, and their faces were a little ugly. Gu Xinghui was the current ancestor of the Gu family. He had lived for a long time since ancient times, but now he was called a little brat by Dandan. What were they? However, when they remembered that he was the world turtle from back then, they understood. The top 10 battle beasts from back then were all peak powerhouses, and they had lived for a long time. Senior turtle, please wait for a moment. I'll report to the ancestor. The Gu family leader cupped his fists, and then went to the palace in the depths of the Gu family. Lu Ming and the others didn't have to wait for long before they saw the Gu family leader, and an old man, with a head of white hair flying over. The old man had a ruddy face and white hair. He was in high spirits and his eyes were extremely bright. The Gu family leader followed behind the old man, with a respectful expression. Greetings, ancestor. The members of the Gu family bowed to the old man at the same time. Needless to say, this was the oldest ancestor of the Gu family, Gu Xinghui. No need to be so polite. Gu Xinghui waved his hand and glanced at Dandan. His spiritual consciousness spread out and sensed Dandan's aura. He showed a hint of joy on his face and said, Senior turtle, it's really you. Ha ha ha, isn't it me? Little brat. I haven't seen you for many years and you've become so old. Haha, I'm still young. Dandan laughed. Senior turtle. I just heard that there's a little brother who has mastered many kinds of laws before becoming an emperor. He has even mastered 2 supreme laws. Are you here for the method left behind by my father? Gu Xinghui asked straightforwardly. That's right. I've heard that Gu Lingtian has been researching for his entire life, and before his time was up, he made great progress. That's why I'm here to see what he's come up with. Dandan said. Gu Xinghui looked at Lu Ming in surprise. He had lived for a very long time. When he heard that someone had mastered multiple kinds of laws before achieving the martial monarch realm, including 2 of the strongest laws, even his heart could not help but tremble. He could not help but feel curious. Little brother, can you reveal your nomological laws to this old man? Gu Xinghui said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. With a thought, the 7 types of laws appeared one after another. Gu Xinghui's eyes were bright as he sighed. A miracle, a miracle. After a while he said, Back then, Father did indeed make a great breakthrough. He once said that he finally found the method to become a monarch. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it himself, and could only leave it for the fated ones. Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and his heart could not help but beat faster. Gu Xinghui's words were obviously saying that Gu Lingtian had really found the method back then. Haha, Guling Tian is indeed a rare hero. I didn't expect him to really find the method. It's a pity for him. If he wasn't so ambitious, his achievements wouldn't be much weaker than mine. Dandan sighed. It was rare to see such an exaggerated person. Gu Xinghui's eyes were also a little sad. Senior Turtle, come with me, Gu Xinghui said. Then, he made a gesture of invitation and walked towards the depths of the Gu family. Lu Ming, Dandan and Mulins followed. The rest of the Gu family also dispersed. Lu Ming and the other two followed Gu Xinghui. They flew past a large number of palaces and came to a quiet place. It was very quiet here. There was only a small house made of purple bamboo. It was quiet and elegant. Outside the house, there was a small courtyard. There was a stone table and a few stone benches on the side. Senior Turtle, take a seat. I'll be back soon, Gu Xinghui said. Then he walked into the bamboo house. After a while, he took out a bronze box and walked out. This is left behind by father, Gu Xinghui said. Then he opened the bronze box. A jade box appeared inside. My father placed his lifetime of research into this jade box. However, no one has been able to open this jade box since my father passed away. There is a formation placed on top of it. If one tries to forcefully open it, this jade box, including the things inside, will be turned into ashes, Gu Xinghui said. It can't be opened. That can't be. Dandan was speechless. Lu Ming's heart also sank. Yes, but I guess that father wanted to leave it to a fated person like little brother, Lu Ming, who has mastered many laws before becoming an emperor. Little brother Lu Ming, you can take a look. Perhaps you can open it. Gu Xinghui handed the jade box to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and carefully studied it. The jade box was covered with fine runes. Lu Ming looked at it for a long time, but he didn't find anything. Let me see, Dandan shouted. Lu Ming handed the jade box to Dandan. Dandan studied it carefully. He was an expert in formations. Sure enough, he made a big discovery. His eyes lit up and he said, no wonder no one can open it. It turns out that such a condition is required. Haha. Dandan, you can see it? Lu Ming asked. Of course, don't you know who I am? I'm the leader of the top 10 beasts, the world turtle. There's no formation that I can't see. If you want to open this jade box, you need to meet 2 conditions. First, you need to use sacred power. Second, you need to use 5 laws at the same time, but it's not specified which 5 laws. If these 2 conditions are separated, it's very simple. However, when combined, it's very harsh because both conditions need to be fulfilled by the same person. Dandan explained. They were stunned for a moment, then they immediately reacted. The condition was obvious. It required a person who hadn't become an emperor, yet to master 5 laws at the same time. This was what Gu Lingtian had left for people like him. Lu Ming, give it a try. Dandan handed the jade box to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and followed Dandan's instructions. He circulated his sacred power and controlled the 5 laws at the same time, shrouding them on the jade box. Buzz! The jade box began to move. It began to emit light, and the runes on it flowed. Finally, with a click, the jade box opened. There was a jade token in the jade box. It's open. Gu Xinghui was also very excited. Lu Ming, Dandan and Mulins were also very excited. Lu Ming, quickly take a look. Is there a way for you to successfully prove your Tao and become an emperor? Dandan said excitedly. Lu Ming took a deep breath, took out the jade token, and sank his spiritual consciousness into it. My life is Gu Lingtian. Immediately, a voice rang in Lu Ming's mind. Chapter 22-28. Lu Ming learned about Gu Lingtian's life from the jade token. Gu Lingtian was a peerless genius. He was the most dazzling star in the heaven realm during that era. However, Gu Lingtian's ambition was higher than the sky. He wanted to walk a different path, a path that no one had walked before. Before he became a martial emperor, he relied on his terrifying talent to cultivate several types of laws. He wanted to use these laws to create a small world when he became a martial emperor. Unfortunately, in the end he was unable to complete this path. He was blocked, and this block lasted for an entire lifetime. Gu Lingtian spent his entire life researching. Finally, in his later years he found a way. Before he became a martial emperor, he had already mastered many types of laws. If he wanted to become a martial emperor, he had to maintain balance. This was because it was too difficult to condense the heart of the realm. When one became a martial emperor, the laws would collide with each other and burst out with terrifying force that could tear the martial emperor's saint heart and body. That was why it was difficult to become a martial emperor. However, as long as the laws reached a balance, they wouldn't burst out with tearing force. Then, one would be able to successfully evolve the heart of the realm and become a martial emperor. However, it was difficult to achieve a balance with many laws. In this aspect, not being a martial emperor gave one an advantage. That was because an Elysian child controlled one of the strongest laws. If you controlled other laws, it would be very difficult for you to achieve a balance. According to Gu Lingtian's speculation, a martial emperor could achieve a balance with 3, 6, or 9 martial emperor laws and become a martial emperor. However, before becoming a martial emperor, those who had the ability and talent to control many types of laws were all martial emperors. They were all martial emperors. No matter how many laws were combined, it was difficult to achieve a balance with one supreme law. Because the supreme law was too powerful, it was difficult for other laws to maintain a balance with it. Gu Lingtian speculated that if a person could control 3 supreme laws and 6 martial emperor laws, they would be able to maintain a balance and successfully evolve the heart of the realm. Or if a person could control 6 or 9 supreme laws, they would also be able to evolve the heart of the realm. 3 supreme laws and 6 martial emperor laws. I can do it! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He was overwhelmed by ecstasy. Currently, he had already grasped 2 supreme laws and 5 monarch laws. He was completely capable of comprehending 1 more supreme law and 1 more monarch law. Gu Lingtian also mentioned that the rules had to be on the same level in order to maintain a balance. For example, if one of the laws had reached the 2nd realm, while the others were all at the 1st realm, that would not do either. Lu Ming secretly rejoiced that he had yet to reach the 2nd realm of laws. He would be able to achieve the martial monarch realm once he mastered the 1st level of the martial monarch realm. Lu Ming's words delighted Dandan and Mulins. Lu Ming, quick, let me take a look, Dandan shouted. Lu Ming handed the jade tablet to Dandan. Dandan immediately looked at it. After reading it, Dandan fell silent. Then, he handed the jade tablet to Gu Xinghui. After that, Mulins also took a look at it. What a pity! Gu Lingtian is indeed amazing. In the end, he managed to grasp 1 supreme law and 8 monarch laws. However, he still could not achieve a balance and could not become a martial monarch. Dandan sighed. Gu Xinghui's eyes were filled with sadness. The method that father recorded might seem simple, but it's actually extremely difficult to achieve. It's impossible for anyone to control multiple laws before becoming a martial monarch. Only someone with the talent of the Elysian child would be able to do it. However, it is difficult for a person to master more than 2 supreme laws at the same time. Therefore, almost no one can achieve this condition. In my opinion, father's method is completely tailor-made for brother Lu Ming. Gu Xinghui sighed. That's right. Dandan also sighed. Mulins was also happy for Lu Ming. Brother Lu Ming, I hope that you can become a martial monarch. This way, you will have fulfilled father's last wish. Gu Xinghui said. Definitely. Lu Ming was extremely determined. How about this? I will bring you to a place. It will help you comprehend many laws and become a martial monarch as soon as possible. Gu Xinghui said. Then, Gu Xinghui stepped into the air and left. Lu Ming, Dandan and Mulins followed. They went deeper into the purple bamboo forest. Not long after, they came in front of a huge ancient tree. This ancient tree was hundreds of meters tall. It was as thick as a dozen people hugging it. Gu Xinghui waved his hand, and a light door appeared on the ancient tree. It turns out that there is a small world hidden here. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It was obvious that the light door on the ancient tree was the entrance to a small world. Gu Xinghui entered the light door. Lu Ming and the others also entered one by one. As soon as they entered the light door, they came to another world. The laws here are so clear. It gives me a refreshing feeling, and my heart feels empty. As soon as they entered this small world, Lu Ming and the others felt something unusual. Especially Lu Ming. He felt like he was sitting under the tree of enlightenment and cultivating. Follow me. Gu Xinghui smiled and stepped into the air. After flying for a long distance, they came to a mountain range. However, this mountain range was barren. There was no vegetation at all. There was only a giant tree in the middle of the mountain range. That's the tree of enlightenment. Looking at that giant tree, Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Yes, there was indeed a tree of enlightenment here. Although the species was different from Lu Ming's, it was indeed the tree of enlightenment. And this tree of enlightenment was completely incomparable to Lu Ming's. Lu Ming's tree of enlightenment had been cultivated until now. It had taken root on a mountain peak in the mountain river diagram and was more than 30 meters tall. However, the one in front of them was at least 1,000 meters tall. The ancient tree towered into the sky, and the great Tao surrounded the branches. Everyone felt that their hearts were empty, and their minds were incomparably clear. The effect was many times better than Lu Ming's. Great! Your Gu family actually secretly cultivated an ancient tree of enlightenment. Amazing! Dandan grinned and sighed, his eyes shining. Unfortunately, after countless years of cultivation, it still hasn't fully matured. Gu Xinghui sighed. It's already not bad to be able to cultivate it to 1,000 meters tall. I also had one back then, but unfortunately it wasn't mature either. It was destroyed in the later battle. As he said that, he glanced at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. His tree of enlightenment was cultivated from a dead branch, and that branch appeared together with Dandan back then. Could it be that Dandan's tree of enlightenment was the same one? That was very likely. You can cultivate here from now on, Gu Xinghui said. Haha, good. Lu Ming, this is the most suitable place for your current stage, Dandan said to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. Indeed. Chapter 22-29. The Gu family's enlightenment ancient tree was already 1,000 meters tall. Its effect was much better than his own enlightenment ancient tree. It was the most suitable place to comprehend the laws. You guys can cultivate here. If you need anything, just send me a message. Gu Xinghui left behind a message and a voice transmission jade talisman. His figure moved and disappeared. Lu Ming and the other two headed towards the enlightenment ancient tree. As they approached, they found a few people sitting cross-legged under the enlightenment ancient tree cultivating. Obviously, they were the Gu family's people. Lu Ming also finally understood why Guingzhong could control 4 types of laws at such a young age. He had even reached the second level of 2 of them. It was definitely related to the enlightenment ancient tree. When the 3 of them arrived, someone from the Gu family sensed them and opened his eyes to look at Lu Ming and the other 2. He was surprised. This was because he did not know Lu Ming and the other 2 at all. However, he was only surprised and did not say anything. This was because this was the Gu family's secret place. Without the Gu family's higher-ups leading the way, no one would be able to find it. Obviously, Lu Ming, Dandan, and Mulins were able to enter because the higher-ups of the Gu family had brought them here. Since it was the higher-ups of the Gu family who brought them here, he naturally would not say anything. He nodded to Lu Ming and the other 2, and closed his eyes to continue cultivating. The 2 of you can cultivate here. I'm going to find a place to go into seclusion and break through to the true Emperor realm. Dandan said, I hope you break through soon. Otherwise, when I become an emperor, I'll catch up to you very quickly. Lu Ming laughed. Dream on, you want to catch up to me? Dandan curled his lips unhappily. Then his figure flashed and disappeared into the distance in an instant. Lu Ming and Mulins came under the enlightenment ancient tree. They each found a piece of green stone and sat cross-legged on it. The enlightenment ancient tree was 1,000 meters tall and was incomparably huge. Between the branches and leaves, there were grand daos. Whether it was comprehending laws or divine abilities, it was very useful here. To comprehend 9 types of laws, 3 supreme laws and 6 monarch Tao laws. I'm still lacking 1 supreme law and 1 monarch Tao law. Which two should I comprehend? Lu Ming pondered. If it's monarch Dao law, why don't I comprehend the penetration law? Lu Ming's heart moved. The law of penetration and the power of penetration were extremely shocking. If one could comprehend it, one's attack power would increase by a lot. Furthermore, the 6 feathered divine wings that Dandan imparted to Lu Ming contained 6 types of laws. Apart from the law of array, alchemy, and weapons, the law of penetration was also one of them. After comprehending the law of penetration, the power of the 6 feathered divine wings would increase explosively. After deciding on the monarch Dao law, it was time to decide which supreme law to comprehend. Of the remaining 8 supreme laws, Lu Ming was most optimistic about the destiny law, because the destiny law was indeed mysterious and powerful. However, the destiny law had a high requirement of talent. It was also the most difficult to cultivate. Lu Ming thought for a while, then shook his head, and eliminated the destiny law. Now that I have the chaos law and death law, I'm not weak in terms of offense. The next law doesn't necessarily have to increase my offense. Increasing my defense or vitality is also very important. Then the life law. In the end, Lu Ming decided to comprehend the life law. Xiang Xiang had the life body, so Lu Ming was more familiar with the life law. Moreover, once one grasped the life law, their vitality would become astonishing. Even if they suffered some fatal injuries, they would be able to recover quickly. This would greatly increase their ability to survive. For the next 2 laws, Lu Ming decided to comprehend the life law and the penetration law. Closing his eyes, Lu Ming's mind became empty. His mind merged with heaven and earth as he captured the fluctuations of the laws. Penetration, penetrate everything. Nothing can stop it. Lu Ming murmured and understood something. As Lu Ming comprehended more and more laws, he had more experience in comprehending laws. Hence, he became more and more efficient in comprehending laws. In just a few days, the penetration law had reached the entry level. Half a month later, Lu Ming successfully comprehended the life law and reached the entry level. In this way, he had already grasped 9 types of laws. What he needed to do now was to increase the maturity of the laws. The alchemy law, tools law, penetration law, and life law. Now Lu Ming still had 4 types of laws that had not reached the first level of perfection. However, the alchemy law and tools law were already about 90% mature. Lu Ming wholeheartedly comprehended the 4 types of laws. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. On this day, thunder rumbled in the distance. Lu Ming, who was cultivating, and the people of the Gu family all opened their eyes. Someone has become an emperor, and is going through the emperor tribulation. Someone from the Gu family whispered, "Senior sister Mullins is going to become an emperor." Lu Ming smiled. Mullins had obtained the inheritance of a peerless expert. The process of inheritance lasted for 5 years. In these 5 years, Mullins's cultivation soared to the limit of the boundary emperor before stopping. Mullins was originally just a hair away from becoming an emperor. Now, after more than half a year of accumulation and polishing, Mullins finally crossed the bottleneck and became an emperor. Lu Ming took a step forward and came to a place not far from Mullins. Mullins's body was covered in a layer of blood light, which turned into attacks to resist the heavenly tribulation. It seemed that Mullins was still quite relaxed. Not long after, Mullins successfully passed the heavenly tribulation. Boom! At this moment, a shocking change occurred in Mullins's body. It was the evolution of the sacred heart. The sacred energy turned into the power of the world. A faint emperor's aura was emitted from Mullins's body. Half an hour later, Mullins's aura stabilized, and she officially entered the martial emperor realm. Senior sister, congratulations on confirming your Dao and becoming an emperor. Lu Ming stepped forward and congratulated Lu Ming. Mullins looked at Lu Ming with joy on her face. She said, "I believe that junior brother will become an emperor soon. Little girl, not bad. You became an emperor so quickly. It seems that you are really suitable for Shuexiu's cultivation path." A voice was heard. Then with a flash of light, Dandan's figure appeared. "Dandan, you also broke through?" Lu Ming looked at Dandan and asked curiously. "Of course. What kind of existence am I? A mere true emperor is nothing. I will soon break through to the great emperor realm, then the heavenly emperor realm. Finally, I will surpass the past and break through to the supreme realm. Ha ha ha. Dandan laughed proudly, as if he was thinking of a beautiful future. His eyes were shining. This guy. Lu Ming despised him, but he was also happy for him. Dandan laughed for a while and said, Lu Ming, come. Let's spar and see how you have comprehended the laws during this period. You are now a true emperor. If I spar with you, won't I be abused? Lu Ming curled his lips and immediately refused. Chapter 2230. Ha ha ha, I know you're afraid of me. However, I won't use the power of the world. I'll just spar with you using the laws. Why are you still afraid? Dandan grinned and looked at Lu Ming from the corner of his eyes. Lu Ming was unhappy and said, Come on, let's go. Let's spar a little further away. After they flew a distance away, they began to fight. Dandan did not use his cultivation to suppress Lu Ming. He only used a little bit of the power of the world to activate the laws, and fought with Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was defeated by Dandan in one move. This made Lu Ming speechless. Was the difference so big? Although Dandan also controlled 9 types of laws, he also controlled 9 types of laws. However, after colliding with Dandan's laws, his laws were completely vulnerable. Lu Ming, although you control a lot of laws, it's only the most superficial fusion. You don't have an ancient scripture to fully unleash the power of these laws. Therefore the power is too weak. Dandan said, It's a pity that I don't have an ancient scripture. Lu Ming also had a bitter face. Although he created the Hammer of Chaos and the Sword of Death, he had only created them recently and was far from reaching the major completion. Their power was limited. Those ancient scriptures were not created by others. Those who created the ancient scriptures also created those ancient scriptures according to the laws they controlled. Right now, you're just inexperienced. You can't fully unleash the magical powers you created. If you can fully unleash the laws you control, the power will definitely be stronger than many ancient scriptures. After all, you created them yourself. Dandan explained. Dandan, since you're so experienced, why don't you teach me? Lu Ming smiled and looked at Dandan. Haha, now you know how powerful I am. Don't worry. I want to spar with you because I want to guide you. Come again, use your full strength. Dandan laughed loudly. He was very pleased with himself. With one hand behind his back, he had the demeanor of a peerless expert. This time, Lu Ming didn't make things difficult for Dandan. After all, he had a favor to ask. Whoosh. Then, Lu Ming's figure flashed, and the Hammer of Primal Chaos appeared in his hand, and he smashed it toward Dandan. Dandan pointed out, and at least 5 types of laws exploded out, forming a finger energy that slammed into the Primal Chaos Hammer. The Primal Chaos Hammer violently trembled before exploding. Lu Ming's Hammer of Primal Chaos also contained 5 types of nomological laws, but they were like tofu. On the other hand, Dandan's 5 types of nomological laws were like steel, as they immediately defeated Lu Ming's Hammer of Primal Chaos. Again, Lu Ming then charged towards Dandan, resisting with his laws. But every time, Lu Ming was completely defeated. A day later, Lu Ming was already exhausted. He then stopped. But in this battle, Lu Ming had gained a lot. He was more proficient in the use of the nomological laws. When he used the Hammer of Primal Chaos, or the Sword of Death, the various nomological laws complemented each other, and the explosive power also increased. Dandan, although bragging every day and sometimes unreliable, was really experienced. Moreover, the World Divine Turtle was known as the World. Its innate control of the nomological laws was unparalleled, and it was stronger than the other top 10 battle beasts. Therefore, it could often point out Lu Ming's shortcomings in the use of the nomological laws, allowing Lu Ming to improve rapidly. Go back and digest it well. We'll continue the competition in 7 days. Dandan grinned and went to enlightenment. The few of them returned to the enlightenment ancient tree and continued to cultivate. Mullins had been watching Lu Ming and Dandan fight before. She had gained a lot and needed to digest it. In the following days, Lu Ming had one more thing to do, and that was to fight with Dandan. Every 7 days, he would fight with Dandan. His comprehension of the various nomological laws, and the use of the nomological laws, were improving by leaps and bounds. The mastery of the 4 nomological laws of alchemy, tools, penetration, and life increased very quickly. After all, this was under the Enlightenment ancient tree. Coupled with Lu Ming's own talent, it was difficult not to improve. At the same time, Lu Ming's 2 self-created supernatural powers, the Hammer of Primal Chaos and the Sword of Death, were getting stronger and stronger. Not only was the original use of the nomological laws, but also the penetration nomological laws. One supernatural power contained 7 nomological laws, and its power was constantly increasing. Finally, after Lu Ming cultivated here for a year, he had another nomological law that reached perfection. Alchemy nomological laws. The alchemy nomological laws reached perfection, and the nomological laws formed a river. Lu Ming's physical body and saint power were tempered again, and greatly improved. Without a doubt, Lu Ming's combat strength was also increasing rapidly. After cultivating here for a year and a half, Lu Ming's tools nomological laws had also reached perfection. Until now, Lu Ming still had the penetration nomological laws and life nomological laws that had not reached perfection in the first realm. The life nomological law was an ultimate nomological law, and relatively speaking, the speed of improvement was much slower. Far away from the Enlightenment ancient tree, on a flat ground, Lu Ming and Dandan continued to fight. Although Lu Ming's strength was increasing rapidly, Dandan's improvement was even faster. Lu Ming felt that the 9 nomological laws that Dandan controlled had probably reached the second realm. Lu Ming was naturally no match for him. The 2 of them exchanged a blow, and Lu Ming retreated. Unfortunately, my ultimate nomological laws can't be merged together. Lu Ming sighed. Whether it was the Hammer of Chaos or the Sword of Death, they both only contained one ultimate nomological law. If other ultimate nomological laws could be merged, the power would probably skyrocket. However, if ultimate nomological laws could not be merged, it would be too difficult to merge them. Not necessarily, Dandan said. It's said that it's impossible for one person to control 2 ultimate nomological laws. But didn't you do it? Since you can control multiple ultimate nomological laws, you can naturally merge them into one supernatural power. Speaking of which, Lu Ming, your path is completely different from others. You cultivated the ancient scriptures created by others, but it can't fully stimulate your potential. Other people's ancient scriptures have a single ultimate nomological law as the core, but you control multiple ultimate nomological laws. If you want to fully stimulate your potential, you need to create your own. Dandan was rarely serious as he seriously guided Lu Ming. Lu Ming was greatly moved. Indeed, those peerless heroes who created various ancient scriptures did not control multiple ultimate nomological laws. At most, they controlled one ultimate nomological law, and then combined it with other monarch nomological laws and ordinary nomological laws to create it. None of them were suitable for Lu Ming. If Lu Ming wanted to tap into his full potential, he had to create his own ancient scriptures and supernatural powers. Lu Ming felt suddenly enlightened. He felt that he could see his future path. Dandan, thank you. Lu Ming thanked Dandan very seriously. Haha, who am I? The leader of the top 10 battle beasts, an invincible peerless genius. Do you believe me now? Dandan grinned and laughed, feeling very comfortable and happy. Come, continue. Let me guide you so that you can merge ultimate nomological laws as soon as possible. Dandan shouted, full of enthusiasm. Although Dandan did not control multiple ultimate nomological laws, his experience was there, and it was very helpful to Lu Ming. However, it was too difficult to merge different ultimate nomological laws into one supernatural power. Chapter 2231. Winter passed and spring came. Time flew by. Lu Ming had been cultivating here for 3 years. After 3 years of hard work, his law of penetration had reached the first level of perfection. Lu Ming's physical body and saint power had become stronger after repeated refinements. His physical strength was incomparably strong, and his saint power was condensed to the extreme. Moreover, his application of the law had become stronger, and the power of his self-created divine powers had increased by a lot. Compared to 3 years ago, Lu Ming's combat strength had increased by leaps and bounds. However, his law of life was still a little short and had not reached perfection. It was still at the 99% stage. Lu Ming was not in a hurry. It was indeed a little slow to improve his ultimate law, and this was still cultivating under the ancient tree of enlightenment. If it were in the outside world, it would be impossible to cultivate so many laws to the first level of perfection in 3 years. On the same flat ground, Lu Ming and Dandan were still fighting. Swoosh, swoosh. Lu Ming held the sword of death in his hand and slashed out continuously. Its power was extremely shocking. However, Dandan was relaxed. With a casual wave of his hand, various laws circulated and easily blocked Lu Ming's attack. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Lu Ming's eyes were firm and persistent. He was trying to integrate the law of chaos into the sword of death. Just a little bit more, merge for me. Suddenly Lu Ming roared. The law of death in his body surged. The sword of death in his hand vibrated constantly, and the sword's roar shook the sky. Buzz! Suddenly, the power of the sword of death skyrocketed, and a terrifying sword light slashed at Dandan. This sword not only contained the power of the law of death, but also the heavy power of the law of chaos. Success! Lu Ming was ecstatic. However, in the next moment, Lu Ming's body trembled. He felt a terrifying tearing force from the 2 ultimate laws. His palm was about to be torn apart by this tearing force. Nestle! On the opposite side, Dandan shouted. With a shake of his palm, a tortoise shell appeared and blocked in front of him like a shield. Boom! With a violent explosion, Dandan's tortoiseshell shield exploded. Dandan quickly retreated, avoiding the tip of the sword of death. Kid, you've succeeded? Dandan looked at Lu Ming. The sword of death in Lu Ming's hand disappeared. His palms and arms were covered in cracks, blood seeping out from them. Circulating the law of life, the wound on his arm quickly healed. Unfortunately, the 2 types of laws will still clash and erupt with astonishing power, causing me to be injured. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. That's normal. You've just started the fusion, and aren't familiar with it yet. However, this proves that we're on the right track. As long as you keep trying, the side effects will disappear. Ha ha ha, we've created history. If this were to spread, I'm afraid it would scare people to death. Dandan was extremely excited. Lu Ming also revealed a smile. He understood that after such a long period of hard work, he had finally succeeded. Although the fusion of 2 types of supreme laws would cause him to be injured, it was still incomplete. As it continued to be perfected in the future, these side effects would definitely disappear. Under the effect of the law of life, the wound on Lu Ming's arm had completely healed. Dandan again. Lu Ming rushed towards Dandan. Where could he find such a good sparring partner? Boom! The sword of death reappeared in Lu Ming's hand. Immediately, the law of primal chaos erupted and merged with the sword of death. Buzz! This time he immediately succeeded. However, the fusion still clashed and a terrifying power erupted, causing Lu Ming's arm to be covered in wounds. However, the power of this sword strike had reached an astonishing level. Dandan needed to focus her attention in order to block it. This could be considered Lu Ming's strongest killing move. If I integrate the law of life in the future, the power will definitely be stronger. Lu Ming thought to himself. Lu Ming was about to continue looking for Dandan when a figure flashed, and a white-haired old man appeared. It was Gu Xinghui. This was the first time Gu Xinghui had appeared in 3 years. Little brother Lu Ming, it seems that you have made great progress in these years. Gu Xinghui smiled. Senior, thank you for bringing me here to cultivate. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have to cultivate for a few more years to achieve my current achievements. Lu Ming said. Kid, why are you here today? Dandan walked over and said casually. Of course, there's something big. Gu Xinghui said. Something big? What's the big deal? Dandan asked curiously. Mount Eternal has appeared. It is said that the indestructible ancient scripture is hidden in Mount Eternal. Gu Xinghui said. What? Dandan almost jumped up. His eyes lit up as he stared at Gu Xinghui and said, "Is that true?" "It's true. Mount Eternal has appeared in the void and is now hovering above Alcate Ancient City. Now countless experts from the Taiqing Celestial Domain are rushing over to get the indestructible ancient scripture. So, I'm here to ask if you want to go," Gu Xinghui said. "Of course we're going. We can't miss the indestructible ancient scripture of the indestructible emperor." Dandan's eyes lit up. By the side, Lu Ming and Mulan were somewhat dumbstruck. They had never heard of Mount Eternal or the indestructible ancient scripture. "Is the indestructible ancient scripture that magical?" Lu Ming asked. "Of course. It is said that those who cultivate the indestructible ancient scripture will be immortal and have extremely strong vitality. Even a trace of blood, a strand of hair, or a trace of soul can be recovered. Although the law of life has strong vitality, it is far inferior to cultivating the indestructible ancient scripture. The indestructible ancient scripture is the trump card of the indestructible emperor. Do you know about the emperor? He is in existence on par with the Chaos Emperor." Dandan rattled on, explaining a bunch of things. Lu Ming was shocked. He was shocked by the incredible power of the indestructible ancient scripture and the strength of the indestructible emperor. According to Dandan, those who could be called venerable sovereigns were all invincible figures. They were known as venerable sovereigns and were invincible in the world. For example, the Chaos Emperor and the indestructible emperor. If the indestructible emperor is so strong, how can he be so strong? Then how can others get the indestructible ancient scripture? "Won't we be courting death if we go?" Lu Ming asked curiously. "The indestructible emperor died a long time ago," Dandan said. "Died? How can such a person, who cultivated the indestructible ancient scripture, die?" Lu Ming was shocked and puzzled. "Sigh, it's all because of the evil god tribe. In the ancient era, at the beginning of the war, the indestructible emperor was besieged by several people of the evil god tribe. In the end, nothing was left of him. Even if he had the indestructible ancient scripture, he still died. Since the fall of the indestructible emperor, Mount Eternal, where he lived, escaped into the endless void and wandered in the eternal darkness of the void. No one could find it. I really didn't expect Mount Eternal to suddenly appear. Many people guessed that the indestructible ancient scripture is about to reappear." Gu Xinghui sighed. Lu Ming was also interested. "Okay, let's go and take a look." Chapter 2232. Before becoming an emperor, it was a good opportunity to go out for a walk and adjust his condition to prepare for becoming an emperor. At the same time, he could also try his luck. If he could really get the indestructible ancient scripture, it would be a great stroke of luck. Immediately, Lu Ming, Mulan, and Dandan followed Gu Xinghui and left for the Gu clan's palace. This time, the Gu clan would also send people to try their luck. Mount Eternal had been wandering in the eternal darkness for so many years. It was very difficult to get it by relying on one's cultivation alone. It would require a fortuitous encounter. Therefore, the Gu clan sent some geniuses. The number one genius of the Gu clan, Guingzhong, was naturally among them. However, there were also many experts. There were true emperors and great emperors, who were led by the Gu clan's patriarch. Everyone soared into the sky and headed towards the nearest teleportation area. The Alcate Ancient City was located in the western part of the Grand Pure Sky Domain. A few days later, the Gu clan had already arrived at the Alcate Ancient City. The Alcate Ancient City was one of the oldest ancient cities in the Heaven Domain. In the Heaven Domain, there were not many that could be called ancient cities. Each of them had spanned countless years and were full of mottled traces of time. During this period of time, this ancient city that had experienced countless years had become incomparably lively. There was a sea of people, all of them experts. There were experts from all over the Grand Pure Sky Domain. Not only the human race, but also the various divine beast races. For example, true dragons, heavenly tigers, phoenixes, and others could be seen from time to time. In the sky above the northern gate of the Alcate Ancient City, an incomparably huge divine mountain was suspended there. It was huge and majestic, like the legendary immemorial divine mountain. This was Mount Eternal. Lu Ming and the others did not enter the Alcate ancient city at first. Instead, they headed towards Mount Eternal. Boom! Boom! From afar, they could see a dazzling light constantly flickering and hear a shocking roar. Someone wanted to climb Mount Eternal, and it was a very shocking expert. Lu Ming saw a figure covered in divine light rushing towards Mount Eternal at an astonishing speed. However, no matter how fast he rushed towards Mount Eternal, it seemed that he could not cross the seemingly short distance. It was difficult for him to get close to Mount Eternal. There was a layer of light on Mount Eternal. It seemed to stop there, but it was impossible to get close. Is that a heavenly emperor? Someone from the Gu family asked in a hoarse voice. That's right. It's indeed a heavenly emperor realm figure. The patriarch of the Gu family said. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. Even a heavenly emperor realm figure was unable to ascend Mount Eternal? Chirp. At this moment, a cry echoed in the sky. Everyone saw a phoenix spreading its wings and soaring towards Mount Eternal. The aura emitted by the phoenix was shocking. Its body was enormous, and when it spread its wings, they covered the sky and covered the sun. This was absolutely an incomparably terrifying phoenix. Its cultivation was not weaker than that human race powerhouse from before. Without a doubt, it was a heavenly emperor realm existence. With a flap of its wings, the void collapsed, forming a terrifying dark space. It flew towards Mount Eternal at an unimaginable speed. However, it was still difficult for this terrifying phoenix to ascend Mount Eternal. Roar! A roar reverberated in all directions. An incomparably huge white tiger, filled with boundless killing intent, rushed towards Mount Eternal. However, like the phoenix, it was still unable to ascend the mountain. The white tiger roared and stretched out a huge claw. It was incomparably terrifying. It was even bigger than a mountain and grabbed towards Mount Eternal from the sky. Obviously, the white tiger was furious that it could not ascend the mountain. It wanted to blow up Mount Eternal. Its huge claw was even bigger than Mount Eternal. Unfortunately, when it grabbed down, Mount Eternal was like an illusion. It grabbed empty air and nothing was caught. Next, everyone saw a few powerful existences trying to ascend Mount Eternal. But in the end, it was to no avail. There were many people watching nearby. Lu Ming and the others learned from the nearby spectators that during this period, there were no less than 10 heavenly emperors who came here. They used all kinds of methods to try to ascend Mount Eternal and obtain the indestructible ancient scripture, but all of them failed. There were also great emperors, true emperors, and void emperors who tried to ascend the mountain, but all of them ended in failure. Some people speculated that the indestructible ancient scripture had not yet appeared. It was obviously impossible to seize it with strength. One had to know that the indestructible emperor was an invincible figure back then. Many people stayed in Alcate ancient city, waiting for the right opportunity. Lu Ming and the others looked around Mount Eternal for a while, but it was to no avail. Even Dandan shook his head. They could only come to Alcate ancient city and find a place to stay. Alcate ancient city. I heard that it is one of the oldest cities in the heavenly realm. In history, many experts were born and left behind many ruins. How about we go take a look? Guing invited Lu Ming, Dandan and Mulins. The Gu family had lived in seclusion for generations and rarely came out. Guing did not have many opportunities to come out. This time, if it was not for the indestructible ancient scripture, the Gu family would not have brought them out. It was rare for him to come out, so naturally he was very curious. All right, Lu Ming and the others nodded. Together with Guing, they left the place where they lived and strolled around Alcate ancient city. Alcate ancient city was not only old, but it also covered a very large area. There were countless streets and ancient ruins everywhere. For example, there were many stone tablets, which were enlightenment tablets. These enlightenment tablets had great Tao engravings left behind by experts. It was very helpful for those below the martial emperor realm. Many people below the martial emperor realm sat cross-legged under the enlightenment tablets, quietly comprehending and cultivating. There were many statues in another place. They were all famous statues of the past generations. Each of them exuded a domineering will that made people admire them. Many people were looking at them. Lu Ming and the others also came here. Look, those are the statues of the top 10 battle beasts. Guing whispered. Lu Ming looked over and saw statues of different species. There was a 9 dragon with a winding body. There were 9 dragon claws under its abdomen. The scales on its body were clear and lifelike, as if the 9 dragons had come back to life. There was a giant elephant that was like a small mountain. Its muscles were obvious, as if it had explosive power. This was the immemorial dragonesque elephant. Next, they saw the statues of the Titan longhorn beetle, the immortal heavenly phoenix, the 9 lives demonic silkworm. These were the statues of the top 10 battle beasts. There were a total of 9 statues, but there was no statue of the world turtle. Dandan, you don't seem to be there. It seems that your reputation is not good enough. Or maybe they think that you are not worthy of being compared to the other 9. Lu Ming looked at Dandan and joked. Bullshit. The people who carved these statues must be ignorant or have a grudge against me. Damn it, they didn't put my statue in. Dandan was extremely unhappy and gritted her teeth. In the end, her eyes lit up and she said, I know they definitely can't carve out my majestic charm, so they don't have a statue of me. That must be it, haha. Puffed. Lu Ming and the others looked at it with disdain. After a while the crowd left. Lu Ming, it's you? You. How did you come to the heavenly realm? At this moment a voice was heard. It sounded very surprised. Luo Cangqiang? And Stellar River. Chapter 2233. Not far away, a few youths walked over. 2 of them were Lu Ming's old acquaintances, Luo Cangqiang and Xing Xinhe from the primordial realm. Beside them was another youth that Lu Ming did not recognize. Luo Cangqiang and Xing Xinhe seemed very surprised. Back then, Heavenly Emperor Kong Yin did not bring Lu Ming to the Heaven Domain. Why would Lu Ming appear in the Heaven Domain now? After the surprise, it was cold murderous intent. Luo Cangqiang and Xing Xinhe were the same. They did not hide their murderous intent, as their figures flickered and surrounded Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, I didn't expect you to come to the Heaven Domain too. Can't you just stay in the primordial realm and retire? Why must you come to the Heaven Domain to die? Well, it saves me a trip. Luo Cangqiang said coldly as a powerful aura emanated from his body. 2-star illusionary emperor seemed to have reached the peak of 2-star illusionary emperor and could step into 3-star illusionary emperor at any time. At the same time, 2 types of laws emanated from his body. They were both monarch Dao laws, and both were at the peak of the 1st realm. Obviously, after coming to the Heaven Domain, Luo Cangqiang had made great progress. Back in the Battle of 10 Earths, Luo Cangqiang had just broken through to 1-star illusionary emperor. Now he had reached the peak of 2-star illusionary emperor and comprehended the 2nd type of law, reaching the peak of the 1st realm. To be able to make such progress in 5 years was already very fast. He had definitely received a lot of resources to cultivate. The distance of each step in the martial emperor realm was very large and difficult to cross. Without resources, it would take a long time to cultivate honestly. Lu Ming glanced at Luo Cangqiang indifferently and said, I haven't seen you for 5 years. You've made some progress, but do you think you're my match? His voice was full of disdain. Luo Cangqiang's face turned ugly. Indeed, he did not have much confidence in dealing with Lu Ming alone. During the Battle of 10 Earths, Lu Ming was able to fight with the Heaven Domain prodigies who had mastered the strongest laws. He was much stronger than Luo Cangqiang now. Although he knew that Lu Ming was a peerless cripple and could not become an emperor, his combat ability should not be any different from 5 years ago, and there should not be any improvement. However, he was no match for Lu Ming now. However, he was not afraid because there were others beside him. Lu Ming, this is not the primordial realm, nor is it the same as 5 years ago. Luo Cangqiang said coldly, Oh, you mean the 2 of them? Lu Ming smiled indifferently as he glanced at the Star River and the strange young man. I alone am enough. Xing Xinhe spoke with great confidence. Xing Xinhe's cultivation had already reached 3-star illusionary emperor. His improvement was shocking, as he had jumped 2 tiers. At the same time, his law had also made shocking progress. His battle strength was much stronger than 5 years ago during the Battle of the Ten Lands. Xinghe was no longer weaker than the Heaven Realm geniuses who had descended upon the Yuan realm. His talent was very strong, and he was not weaker than the geniuses of the Heaven Realm. Now that he had the resources of the Heaven Realm to nurture him, his progress was extremely fast. He was confident that he could defeat Lu Ming alone. He is that peerless cripple from the primordial realm. The strange young man spoke. This person's cultivation was not weak either. He was a 3-star illusionary emperor and had mastered 3 types of law. Although he did not master the strongest law, 2 of his monarch laws had already reached the 2nd realm. His strength was also very shocking. That's right, it's him, Luo Zongqiong said in a cold voice. Many people have praised him to the heavens and bragged about how powerful he is. Today, I want to give it a try. The strange young man sneered. Those who bragged about him are just his friends. Luo Zongqiong sneered and said, Lu Ming, today you must die. Back then, in the world of the lotus, Luo Zongqiong was abused by Lu Ming too miserably. Luo Pokong was killed by Lu Ming in public, and he was trampled on by Lu Ming in public. He was even treated as a human weapon and fought against Xinghe. He was utterly humiliated. He had always wanted to take revenge. However, in the Battle of the Ten Lands, the strength that Lu Ming displayed shocked him, but what happened later made him ecstatic. Lu Ming actually had a peerless crippled body and could not go to the heavenly domain to cultivate. He was overjoyed and decided to return to the primordial realm after cultivating in the heavenly domain and kill Lu Ming personally. He did not expect to meet Lu Ming in the heavenly domain, but his intention to kill Lu Ming would not change. Lu Ming, give me the heavenly emperor's body, and I can give you a quick death, Xinghe said coldly. Of course, he was transmitting his voice to Lu Ming. He did not want others to know about the heavenly emperor's body. In his opinion, the heavenly emperor's body should belong to him, and anyone else who touched it had to die. He also had to kill Lu Ming. Xinghe and the other 2 completely ignored Dandan, Guing and Mulins. How strong could they be when they were with a crippled body like Lu Ming? They did not care about them. Lu Ming, who are these 3 idiots? They fart as soon as they come, Dandan said unhappily. These words made Luo Zongqiong and Xinghe's faces turn black. Originally, it had nothing to do with you, but now, you have to be responsible for your own words, Luo Zongqiong said coldly. Nest, this kid has no ability at all, but he's very arrogant. I'll slap him to death. Dandan was even more unhappy. He rolled up his sleeves and was about to attack. Leave them to me, I'll deal with them. Lu Ming waved his hand and stopped Dandan. You'll deal with them? Let's see how you'll deal with them, the unfamiliar young man said coldly. He took a step forward and charged towards Lu Ming. His palm was like a blade, slashing down with force like a heavenly blade. He fully unleashed his 3-star illusionary emperor realm power and 3 types of monarch laws. 2 of them had already reached the 2nd realm and were extremely powerful. This attack shattered the void. A terrifying blade light slashed towards Lu Ming, wanting to split Lu Ming in half. Countless people around were alarmed and looked over. In the face of this attack, Lu Ming's expression did not change at all. He was very calm. Boom! Just as the blade light was about to hit Lu Ming made a move and pointed out with his finger. A finger force hit the blade light, and the blade light shattered immediately. The finger force did not stop, and pointed at the unfamiliar young man at an astonishing speed. The unfamiliar young man's pupils shrank sharply, revealing a look of horror in his eyes as he frantically retreated. However, Lu Ming's finger force was faster. In an instant, it caught up with the unfamiliar young man. The unfamiliar young man yelled in horror. At this moment, his heart was full of fear and regret. He never dreamed that Lu Ming, who had a crippled body, would be so powerful. He was even more powerful than the legends said. His attack did not have any effect at all. He felt that death was approaching. He yelled and tried to escape, but it was all too late. Poof! The finger force pierced through his glabella and destroyed his soul. The unfamiliar young man's eyes were wide open and filled with unwillingness. Then his body fell heavily to the ground. Chapter 22-34. They were well aware of the young man's battle strength. He was a very good genius in the heaven realm, and his battle strength was far above Luo Zhangqiong's. Even compared to Heng Xinghe, he was not much weaker. But now, he was killed by Lu Ming in one move. Wasn't Lu Ming's battle strength stronger than Heng Xinghe's? Wasn't Lu Ming a crippled body? How could his battle strength improve so quickly if he couldn't become an emperor? They couldn't figure it out. What they wanted to do now was to run. Heng Xinghe and Luo Zhangqiong retreated almost at the same time. You want to run when you know you can't beat me? Have you asked for my permission? Haha. Lu Ming sneered. He took a step forward and caught up with Luo Zhangqiong in an instant like a ray of dim light. Luo Zhangqiong's eyes were full of horror. The young man's battle strength was above his, but he was killed by Lu Ming in one move. If Lu Ming wanted to kill him, it wouldn't take him a second move. Lu Ming, you can't kill me. If you kill me, my grandfather won't let you go. Luo Zhangqiong roared. Your grandfather? He has already attacked me in the Yuan realm. Unfortunately, he is now seriously injured, and I don't know where he went to heal. I will take his head myself in the future. Lu Ming sneered. He must kill Luo Zhangqiong. Autumn Moon was in a desperate situation because of Luo Zhangqiong, and almost couldn't wake up. Later, Luo Zhangqiong's grandfather, the great emperor of Tianluo, joined the great emperor of the Mu clan to kill him in the ancient Moon Holy Land. It could be said that he, the Daluo Heaven sect, and the Luo clan were already mortal enemies. If Luo Zhangqiong didn't come to him, he would go to him. Since he met him today, he would not let him go. Impossible. Hearing Lu Ming's words, Luo Zhangqiong roared in disbelief. Go in peace. Lu Ming said indifferently and pointed his finger. Puff. Without any suspense, Luo Zhangqiong's glabella was pierced by the finger strength. His soul was destroyed and he died on the spot. So far, the two king bodies of the Daluo Heaven sect had been killed by Lu Ming. After killing Luo Zhangqiong, Lu Ming chased after Luo Zhangqiong. At this moment, Stellar River was flying at full speed. He had a feeling that if he didn't leave today, he wouldn't be able to. Lu Ming's battle prowess had exceeded his imagination. However, he still had hope. Lu Ming was just a cripple. He would never be able to become a martial monarch. Even if he could increase his battle prowess, it would be limited. He, on the other hand, didn't believe that he couldn't kill Lu Ming after becoming a true emperor. As long as he was alive, he could kill Lu Ming. Therefore, he used all his strength to run for his life. But when he turned around to look, he was scared out of his wits. Because Lu Ming was not far from him. Heng Xinghe, go down and accompany Luo Zhangqiong, lest he be lonely. Lu Ming said coldly. He displayed the 6 feathered wings, and was extremely fast. With a flap of the wings, he was close to Stellar River. Kill! The River of Stars came to a stop, and with a shout, the godly bell of eternity appeared and began to vibrate. Now Stellar River's cultivation was much stronger than before. He had reached the 3-star Void Emperor. Moreover, his eternal law had reached the 2nd realm, and he had mastered a sovereign law. Therefore, the power of the eternal divine bell was many times stronger than before. Layers of sound waves rushed out, and turned into sharp swords, slashing toward Lu Ming. It was extremely terrifying. This move again. Heng Xinghe. This move is useless against me. Lu Ming said faintly and blasted out a palm. Boom! The void exploded as the terrifying palm force rushed towards the Stellar River, like an avalanche. The sharp swords formed by the sound waves of the eternal divine bell exploded and collapsed. The palm force continued to surge towards Stellar River, and bombarded the eternal divine bell. Dong! The eternal divine bell vibrated violently and cracks appeared. Heng Xinghe's body was thrown out like a cannonball, and he coughed up blood in the air. How is this possible? Stellar River roared, his voice full of disbelief. How could Lu Ming's combat strength be so strong? In the 5 years since he came to the Heaven Realm, Stellar River had received a lot of resources. There was even a big shot who valued him, and took him in as a disciple. That was a heavenly emperor. Being a disciple of a heavenly emperor, and receiving the heavenly emperor's training, He had made great progress in all aspects. His combat strength had increased tremendously. Even so, after 5 years, when he met Lu Ming again, he was even more vulnerable. He couldn't accept it. These people are so weak. Why are they here to kill Lu Ming? Dandan pursed his lips and was speechless. They are here to die. Guing was also speechless. The surrounding onlookers were also discussing. Who is that person? What a strong combat strength. I heard them say that he has a peerless cripple physique. What's going on? I don't know. I know. I heard that there is a peerless cripple physique in the primordial realm. Before becoming an emperor, he has mastered many laws, and even 2 supreme laws. What? 2 supreme laws of nature? The scene was in an uproar. Many people exclaimed, but even more people didn't believe it. They didn't believe that someone could master 2 supreme laws. That was impossible. In history, no one had ever done it. High in the sky, Lu Ming's figure didn't stop and continued to attack Stellar River. Using the 6-feathered divine wings, Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. With a flap of his wings, Lu Ming instantly caught up with Stellar River. Dong! Lu Ming struck out with his palm again, bombarding Stellar River's eternal divine bell. This time, the eternal divine bell covering Stellar River's body directly exploded. The sound of bones breaking could be heard all over Stellar River's body. His body flew out and vomited blood. Lu Ming didn't use his full strength. In his palm, there were only 4 types of laws: Primal Chaos Law, Devour Law, Penetration Law, and Force Law. In the past few years, Lu Ming had improved too much. After refining a trace of energy from the ancestral dragon's blood, his physical strength skyrocketed. At the same time, the Alchemy Law, Tools Law, and Penetration Law were all perfected one after another. After tempering his physical body and saint power again and again, Lu Ming's physical body and saint power had improved a lot. Stellar River's strength was no weaker than Blue Cloud, and Yen, she that Lu Ming encountered 3 years ago. At that time, Lu Ming needed to go all out to fight with experts like Blue Cloud or Yanxi. But now Lu Ming was also using 4 types of laws. He hadn't even used his ultimate move yet, but he was able to crush Stellar River completely. Be on your way. Lu Ming chased after Stellar River. Stellar River went berserk and tried his best to escape. Lu Ming, you can't kill me. My master is the Heavenly Emperor. At the same time, Stellar River roared and mentioned his master, hoping that Lu Ming would have some scruples. But he also knew that he knew Lu Ming very well. Lu Ming was a lawless person, and there was no way to scare him. Sure enough, Lu Ming was unmoved and continued to chase after him. Despair appeared on Stellar River's face. Lu Ming, stop. Chapter 2235. Originally, Lu Ming wanted to kill Heng Xinghe and get rid of this problem. But at this moment, a fist energy traversed the void and blasted towards Lu Ming. Its power was extremely shocking. Law of Chaos. In this fist energy, Lu Ming felt the fluctuation of the law of chaos. Without thinking, Lu Ming struck out with his palm. Boom! Lu Ming's palm and the fist energy collided heavily. The void exploded and vibrated continuously. Extremely strong winds swept in all directions. Heng Xinghe's body trembled and was sent flying by the aftershock. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Lu Ming looked up into the sky. A burly figure stepped through the air and looked down at Lu Ming. Yuan Xian. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up slightly. Today was such a coincidence to meet an old acquaintance from the Yuan realm. Law of Chaos. That's Yuan Xian, the son of chaos from the Yuan realm. I've heard of him. This person's talent is amazing. After coming to the Heaven realm, he was immediately taken in as a disciple by a top expert. He received a lot of resources to nurture him, and his progress was rapid. Some time ago, he defeated several famous geniuses from the Heaven realm. I've heard of him too. This person's talent is indeed amazing. He has a chance to compete with Jiuju in the future. This time, the Yuan realm has indeed produced many geniuses with amazing talent. Other than Yuan Xian, there's another person who is even more terrifying. He's a natural son of destiny and controls the law of destiny. There are also a few geniuses from the Archean system. They're also very terrifying. Obviously, after 5 years, those geniuses who came to the Yuan realm had risen rapidly. They had made a name for themselves in the Heaven realm, and were known by many experts in the Heaven realm. Yuan Xian looked down from above. His eyes shone brightly as he stared at Lu Ming. A powerful battle intent emanated from his body. Lu Ming, I didn't expect you to come to the Heaven realm too. Although you can't become an emperor, your combat strength has reached this level. It's really amazing. But this is good too. When I kill you, I'll feel better. As he spoke, Yuan Xian's eyes revealed a sinister look. Do you remember what I said to you during the Battle of 10 Earths? As long as you're defeated by me once, you'll never be my match in the future. Lu Ming said softly, his voice full of disdain. Boasting shamelessly, a crippled body will never be able to become a martial emperor. Where does your confidence come from? Yuan Xian shouted coldly. Then, a terrifying aura burst out from his body. 4-star Void Emperor. This was Yuan Xian's current cultivation. 4-star illusionary emperors were already high-level illusionary emperors. They were much stronger than 3-star illusionary emperors. Powerful world energy surged and the power of laws revolved around Yuan Xian, making him look like a god of war. 3 types of laws. The law of primal chaos is already at the 2nd level. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He had a rough estimation of Yuan Xian's combat strength. Now are you still confident? Yuan Xian spoke full of confidence. To him, meeting Lu Ming today was a piece of great news. During the Battle of 10 Earths, he had been defeated by Tian Ming and Lu Ming, and he was still brooding over it. Today he could defeat Lu Ming. He would defeat Tian Ming another day. He wanted to prove to everyone that he was the #1 genius of Yuan Lu. In the future, he wanted to defeat the strongest genius of the Heaven domain and stand at the peak. This was his ambition. Lu Ming is ours. At this moment a cold voice sounded. In the distance, a few rays of light flew over rapidly. In the next moment, a few figures appeared in the sky. His powerful aura and cold murderous intent pressed toward Lu Ming without any concealment. Blue Cloud Yanxi. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. It seemed that he had met a few old acquaintances. It was Blue Cloud and Yanxi. When the two of them looked at Lu Ming, their gazes were exceptionally cold. Lu Ming, I will kill you today, Blue Cloud said coldly. That day, because of Lu Ming, he was beaten so badly by Dandan. Later, because of Lu Ming, he did not get the treasure. Then, the two of them looked at Dandan and Mullins, and cold killing intent erupted from them. Of course, there was also greed. They recognized Mullins. Back then, there was a small pagoda above Mullins's head. It was definitely a supreme treasure. Since they had met today, they would take it together. They were overjoyed. This was not a battlefield, and there were not so many rules. It was normal to kill each other. You guys surround those people. Blue Cloud shouted and waved his hand. Following Blue Cloud and Yen, she were a few middle-aged men. At this moment, they flashed and surrounded Dandan, Mullins, and Guingzhong. These middle-aged men were all true emperors. Their terrifying auras made Mullins and Guingzhong's face turn serious. Dandan's face darkened, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. Lu Ming, let's see who can save you today. Blue Cloud and Yanxi flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. Haha, Lu Ming, looks like you've offended a lot of people. Yuan Xian sneered. A bunch of clowns. Lu Ming said indifferently. What did you say? You're courting death. Blue Cloud shouted, and his aura became even colder. A few years had passed, and Blue Cloud and Yanxi had undoubtedly become stronger. Their cultivation had reached 4-star empty emperor, and their laws had improved. On the surface, they did not seem weaker than Yuan Xian. The 3 young experts surrounded Lu Ming. This useless body from the Yuan realm has offended so many people? He's overestimating himself. He's just a useless body that can never become an emperor. How dare he be so arrogant? Is he courting death? I heard that he's famous in Yuan continent, and he's ranked first among the younger generation in Yuan continent. This is normal. He has mastered many laws before becoming an emperor, so his combat strength must be very strong. It's a pity that he has no potential and can't become an emperor. I think he's used to being arrogant, so he doesn't understand his situation. Others can keep improving, but he's still so arrogant. He won't live for long. I think he's going to die today. Some people discussed and thought that Lu Ming was going to die today. Blue Cloud, Yin Shi, and Yuan Xian were all much stronger than Xinghe. Now the three of them were obviously going to deal with Lu Ming. Did Lu Ming still have a chance? Big brother Lu Ming. At this moment a joyful voice was heard. The voice was crisp and pleasant. Then the void flickered, and a figure suddenly appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder. Lu Ming did not dodge, because he knew who it was when he heard the voice. Bubbles! Bubbles! Lu Ming called out with a smile on his face. It seemed that Bubbles had also arrived. They had not seen each other for 5 years, and Bubbles looked the same as before. She did not grow much older, and still looked like she was 2 or 3 years old. Big brother Lu Ming. Bubbles hung on Lu Ming's neck, and her little head rubbed against Lu Ming's body, unwilling to let go. Seeing Bubbles coming, Yuan Xian's eyes showed a trace of seriousness. Chapter 2236. After a while, Bubble raised her head and looked at Yuan Xian, Blue Cloud and Yin Shi. What do these guys want? They're asking for a beating. Bubble pouted and looked at Blue Cloud, Yin Shi, and the others unkindly. It's her, the space-time spirit mouse. Blue Cloud and Yin Shi also recognized Bubble. The top 10 young battle beasts were too rare, and their talents were astonishing. When Bubble came, she caused a sensation. Many people knew that a space-time spirit mouse came from the primordial realm. Moreover, she was taken in as a disciple by a terrifying divine beast. She was carefully taught, and her speed of improvement was amazing. Her combat strength was even stronger. During this period, many geniuses had been defeated by her. Blue Cloud and Yin Shi naturally knew. At the same time, they were also quite afraid of the existence behind Bubble. They didn't expect that Lu Ming and Bubble actually knew each other, and they seemed to have a good relationship. Hey, tell me, is it you and you who want to go against Big Brother Lu Ming? If you want to fight, you have to go through me first. Bubble waved her small fists and glanced at Blue Cloud and Yin Shi. This has nothing to do with you. Blue Cloud said coldly. Who said it has nothing to do with me? Bubble glared at Blue Cloud. You'd better not interfere in this matter. My Lan family may not be afraid of the person behind you. Blue Cloud said again. Nonsense, if you want to fight then fight, chirp chirp. Bubble was angry, and was about to attack. Bubble, I can deal with these people by myself. Lu Ming smiled and stopped Bubble. Oh okay, Big Brother Lu Ming, beat them up for me, chirp chirp. Bubble cried, then turned her gaze and saw Dandan. Her big eyes immediately lit up, and she immediately appeared on Dandan's shoulder. Little turtle, long time no see, chirp chirp. Bubbles blinked her big eyes, and carefully sized up Dandan. Although Dandan had taken human form, and used a mysterious technique to restrain its aura, Bubble and Dandan were both top 10 war beasts, and had extremely sharp senses. Bubble recognized Dandan at a glance. Dandan's face turned even darker. You're the little turtle, your whole family are little turtles. Dandan said unhappily. You're obviously a little tortoise. Why don't you admit it? Chirp. Bubble pouted. Don't compare me to an ordinary tortoise. Dandan said angrily. Both of them stared at each other and bickered. Lu Ming smiled as his gaze swept over Blue Cloud, Yin Shi and Yuan Xian. His indifferent voice sounded. All of you want to kill me, then come at me together. Don't waste my time. These words shocked everyone present. What? This trash actually asked Blue Cloud and the others to come at him together? Is he crazy? Although his combat strength is not bad, he's simply courting death by being so arrogant. The others were surprised. The faces of Blue Cloud and the others became even gloomier. Lu Ming wanted to fight the three of them alone, which was simply courting death. This was an insult to them. I alone am enough to deal with you. Blue Cloud took the lead. He punched out, and a lion's roar resounded through the sky. On his fist, there was a lion jumping and roaring with astonishing power. This was the divine ability passed down in Blue Cloud's family, which came from an ancient scripture. Compared to 3 years ago, Blue Cloud was undoubtedly stronger. Not only did his cultivation break through, But his law was also more profound. He had already comprehended the third law and reached the perfected first realm. With a punch, the lion's roar shook the sky, and the wind whistled, crushing towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's expression was calm, and he simply struck out with his palm. For this palm, Lu Ming still only used the law of primal chaos, the law of force, the law of devour, and the law of penetration. However, Lu Ming's body trembled, and an even stronger force erupted. Boom! Lu Ming's palm collided with Blue Cloud's fist, and an astonishing vibration erupted. Then, Blue Cloud retreated frantically, and the lion on his fist let out a wail and exploded with a loud bang. Bang! 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 Blue Cloud retreated dozens of steps, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. Lu Ming actually pushed him back with a palm. How was this possible? 3 years ago, Lu Ming's strength was at most slightly stronger than his. After 3 years, his combat strength had increased explosively. How could he be pushed back by Lu Ming's palm? Wasn't Lu Ming a trash who couldn't become a martial emperor? How could his strength improve so rapidly? He really couldn't figure it out. The others also couldn't figure it out, and each of them opened their mouths wide. Yuan Xian's pupils also shrank, and his heart was greatly shocked. I've said it before. The three of you should attack together, so as not to waste my time. Lu Ming said, his voice spreading far and wide. Blue Cloud, Yan Shi, and Yuan Xian's faces turned ugly. At this moment they couldn't retreat, nor could they fight. If you're not going to attack, then I'll do it. Lu Ming was incomparably powerful. He stepped out and directly attacked. Boom! 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 He struck out 3 consecutive palms, and 3 powerful palm prints whistled out, respectively attacking Yuan Xian, Blue Cloud, and Yan Shi. Since you're courting death, then I'll fulfill your wish. Let's attack together. Yan Shi roared. He made his move. A saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed at Lu Ming. Roar! Blue Cloud followed suit. His fists continuously punched out. On both fists there was a lion jumping and roaring continuously. Its power was extremely shocking. At the same time, Yuan Xian also attacked. He erupted with all his strength, waving his fists. His full strength condensed into a mountain, and he attacked Lu Ming. Yuan Xian was undoubtedly stronger. In the Battle of the 10 Lands he only grasped a single law. Now he grasped a higher level of law. Each attack had several laws erupting, and with the law of chaos as the core, its power was extremely shocking. The 3 of them joined forces, and the void was boiling. It was completely destroyed. Boom! 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 The attacks of the 3 collided with Lu Ming's palm prints. The void rumbled continuously, and the force swept in all directions. Some of the weaker cultivators retreated continuously. But what was shocking was that after the collision, Lu Ming's figure didn't move at all. He stood in the void, and his expression was very calm. He was fighting 1 against 3, and he didn't seem to be at a disadvantage at all. Impossible! Yuan Xian roared in his heart. The power of the world erupted completely. Mountains crushed towards Lu Ming, wanting to crush Lu Ming into pieces. At the same time, Blue Cloud and Yan Shi also roared and charged towards Lu Ming. Just so. Lu Ming spoke. This time he pointed out 3 fingers in a row. This was the Chaos Calamity Finger, but its power had far surpassed the Chaos Ring. Because of this finger, Lu Ming had fused 5 types of laws. Law of Chaos, Law of Devour, Law of Force, Law of Penetration, Law of Array Dao. In the Gu family, Lu Ming often sparred with Dandan. Dandan's understanding and use of laws had reached an unbelievable level. Lu Ming also benefited a lot. His use of laws far surpassed Yuan Xian and the rest. With 5 types of laws gathered, the power was shocking. Chapter 2237. 3 huge fingers, shining with 5 different colors, filled the sky as if a deity had stretched out 3 fingers. Lu Ming used 5 types of laws in this attack. There was one more law than before, and it was more powerful. Boom! 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 The 3 fingers collided with Yuan Xian, Blue Cloud, and Yan Shi's attacks. The mountain formed by the Yuan Xian shook violently, and then directly exploded. The huge lion formed by Blue Cloud's divine ability let out a wail and exploded. Yin Qi's saber light also shattered. A terrifying power surged toward the three of them. The three of them retreated frantically. Their bodies shook as if they had been electrocuted and blood spurted out of their mouths. After adding a type of law, Lu Ming's attack power increased greatly. He injured Yuan Xian, Blue Cloud, and Yin Qi in one move. The spectators were dumbfounded. They could not believe what they were seeing. Yuan Xian, Blue Cloud, and Yin Qi were all 4-star empty emperors. They were all high-level empty emperors. Moreover, they were all top prodigies. Their combat power could not be measured by their cultivation. However, the three of them were attacking Lu Ming, but were injured by Lu Ming in one move. How was this possible? Lu Ming had not become a martial emperor yet. He had not become a martial emperor, but he was able to surpass so many levels of cultivation and suppress 3 top prodigies with his cultivation of a boundary emperor. Everyone felt like they were going crazy. This had broken common sense and had never happened before. Even prodigies like Yuan Xian, Blue Cloud, and Yin Qi were suppressed by Lu Ming. If an ordinary empty emperor went up, wouldn't he be killed by Lu Ming in an instant? Wouldn't Lu Ming be able to suppress an ordinary 5-star empty emperor, or even a 6-star empty emperor? This was crazy. However, this was far from Lu Ming's strongest battle strength. If they knew that Lu Ming still had a large amount of battle strength left, who knew how they would feel? Lu Ming couldn't be bothered to care about what the others thought. At this moment, he continued to charge towards Yuan Xian's group of 3. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lu Ming continued to attack with his finger. One finger after another flew towards the 3 of them. The 3 of them roared and unleashed all of their strength to attack Lu Ming. It could be seen that Yuan Xian was indeed slightly stronger. Her battle prowess was above Blue Cloud and Yin Qi, and her injuries were also lighter. However, he was not much stronger, and was still crushed by Lu Ming. 3 rumbling sounds rang out. The 3 of them retreated, coughing up blood. Kill! Lu Ming shouted, and activated the 6 feathered wings. His figure flashed and appeared in front of Blue Cloud. Blue Cloud was startled. His body glowed as a lion pounced forward. However, Lu Ming unleashed a palm strike with 5 different colors. It collided with the lion's palm. The gigantic lion's palm shattered immediately. The palm then landed on the gigantic lion's head. One could see the gigantic lion's body exploding inch by inch. In the end, it exploded with a loud bang. Lu Ming's palm did not stop. He continued to hit Lan Yun. Blue Cloud screamed as his body was penetrated. He spat out blood and was blown away like a broken sandbag. Young master! Damn it! The true emperors surrounding Dandan and Mulins roared, wanting to save Blue Cloud. You think you can come and go as you please? Did you ask for my permission? Dandan coldly retorted before attacking the true emperors with lightning speed. Dandan waved his hand, and 9 different colors appeared on his body. These were 9 different laws. All of them were at the 2nd level, while some were at the 3rd level. The true emperors were shocked by Dandan's battle prowess. There were 5 true emperors, the strongest of which was a 5-star true emperor. They attacked Dandan at the same time. A few of them were quite strong with profound laws. However, there was still a gap between them and Dandan. Dandan wasn't at a disadvantage at all despite fighting 1 against 5. In fact, he even had the upper hand. This came as a great shock to the others. They didn't expect this seemingly ordinary young Taoist to be this strong. Not only was he a true emperor, but his battle prowess was also outrageous. It was clear that Dandan was only a 1-star true emperor, but his battle prowess was frightening. Even a 5-star true emperor wasn't his match, and was easily suppressed. His laws are too frightening. A 1-star true emperor has cultivated 9 laws to this level. Unbelievable. An older character sighed. 4 void emperors and true emperors. Their battle prowess was determined by their laws. Cultivation did affect battle prowess, but it wasn't as great as laws. This was especially true for true emperors. The number of laws they had grasped, and the strength of their mastery, would greatly affect their battle prowess. Many people who had cultivated for hundreds of thousands of years, or even millions of years, might not be able to cultivate the laws to Dandan's level. This was talent. The true emperors from the Lan and Yen were being held back by Dandan and couldn't help. At this moment, Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he appeared next to Yen Shi. He struck a palm, and Yen Shi followed in Lan Yen's footsteps. She was beaten until she vomited blood. You want to kill me? Today I'll kill all of you. Lu Ming said coldly. His voice was very cold. He knew that the Lan and Yen clans were powerful clans in heaven with deep foundations. They definitely had heavenly emperors in charge. Killing Blue Cloud and Yen Shi would bring about a lot of trouble. However, the other party had tried to kill him time and time again. Lu Ming wanted to kill them. At most, he would kill them and find a place to hide, or go to the Gu family to cultivate in seclusion. Although Lan Yin and Yen Shi were seriously injured, they were not dead yet. At this moment, they were so scared that their bodies were trembling. They used all of their strength to frantically retreat. Save me! They shouted at the same time. Junior, don't you dare! There was a loud roar, and a burly old man dashed out of the crowd. He lifted a huge hammer and smashed it toward Lu Ming. A true emperor. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He didn't dare to meet the attack head-on, and used his wings to dodge. Kill him! Kill him for me! Lan Yin recognized that it was an expert from the Yen family, and immediately roared. Die! The burly old man rushed at Lu Ming with his hammer. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. A great true emperor attacking a quasi-emperor? How shameless! I'll be your opponent. Dan roared angrily and attacked several times. His attack method was very special. All the laws were transformed into runes, and the runes could condense into all kinds of terrifying attacks. The power was shocking. Boom! Boom! The two true emperors in front of Dandan vomited blood and quickly retreated. Meanwhile, Dandan went for the burly old man. So what if you have a hammer? Watch my hammer smash. Dandan shouted and swung his fist at the old man. As his fist smashed down, cymbals filled the air. An enormous hammer was formed, one that was even larger than his opponent's. It smashed down with a loud bang. Boom! The two hammers collided, causing the space to tremble. The burly old man's arm exploded, and he retreated while vomiting blood. Save the young master. Chapter 2238. The true emperors from the Lan and Yen clans who were attacking Dandan seized the opportunity and appeared next to Blue Cloud and Yen Shi. They used their world force to grab the two and ran away. Many people were dumbfounded. Lan Yin and Yen Shi came in a domineering manner and even brought along a true emperor powerhouse to kill Lu Ming. In the end, they had to flee in a sorry state. The speed of a true emperor was too fast. It was hard for Lu Ming to catch up with him. Lu Ming looked in another direction. Over there, Yuan Xian led the stellar river in a mad dash, not daring to stop at all. Lu Ming snorted coldly. He cast the six-feathered divine wings and flapped them, chasing after Yuan Xian at lightning speed. Yuan Xian's speed couldn't compare to Lu Ming's, and Lu Ming caught up. Damn it! Yuan Xian roared. Xinghe was terrified. Lu Ming was determined to kill them. Die! Lu Ming said coldly and pointed with his finger. A huge finger blasted towards Yuan Xian. Chaos physique. Yuan Xian roared loudly, displaying the primal chaos divine body. His current primal chaos divine body was greatly different from back then. It had been improved, able to merge many types of natural laws, its power astonishing. Boom! He punched continuously, wanting to stop Lu Ming's attack. But the three of them weren't Lu Ming's match before. He was far from it alone. The giant finger crushed down, crushing Yuan Xian's fist force as easily as crushing dry leaves and smashing rotten wood. Yuan Xian's body shook violently, and he spat out mouthfuls of blood. Xinghe was also swept away by the aftershock, and his injuries worsened. Lu Ming, my master is a heavenly emperor, Hung Xinghe roared. He was really afraid that Lu Ming would kill him here. What's the point of bringing up the mastermind? Lu Ming sneered and stepped forward. He wanted to be the first to kill Xinghe. Xinghe resisted the pain of his injuries and retreated, unwilling to be killed just like that. Boom! But Lu Ming didn't give him a chance. He pointed with his finger, and a sharp finger force pierced through the void and shot towards Xinghe's forehead. No! Xinghe shouted because he couldn't block it. He was going to be killed. At this moment, a light suddenly appeared in front of him. This ray of light was like a shield. Lu Ming's finger force hit it, but it did not have any effect at all. Boom! Then, a large hand reached out from afar. The huge hand was extremely fast, and the aura it exuded was extremely terrifying. Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming was shocked. This giant hand exuded the pressure of the heavenly Tao. It was unbelievably powerful. Master! Xinghe shouted excitedly. His master had also come to Alcate Ancient City. He knew that he would be fine. However, that huge hand did not attack Lu Ming and the rest. With a grab, it grabbed Hengxing River in Yuan Xian, and then retreated rapidly, disappearing from sight. The people around them heaved a sigh of relief. The Heavenly Emperor's aura was too strong. Even though it was far away, it was as if a huge mountain was pressing down on them. On the other side of Alcate Ancient City, in a huge luxurious courtyard, Xinghe and Yuan Xian appeared. In front of them, there was an old man in a gray robe standing with his hands behind his back. Thank you for saving us, Master. Xinghe quickly thanked him. Thank you, Senior. Yuan Xian also bowed. The old man in a gray robe nodded. Master, you should have killed Lu Ming. That guy is too arrogant and doesn't put you in his eyes at all. Xinghe wanted to persuade the old man to kill Lu Ming. Shut up. The old man shouted coldly. His eyes emitted a shocking light. The cold aura shook Xinghe's heart and made him break out in cold sweat. A dignified martial emperor was not a match for a quasi-emperor and was seriously injured. I was already thick-skinned enough to save him. You want me, a dignified heavenly emperor, to kill a junior because my disciple is no match for him? What will others think of me? The old man in a gray robe said. His eyes became colder and colder. Xinghe's face turned pale, and cold sweat broke out on his face. Yuan Xian lowered his head and didn't dare to speak. Although they were top geniuses, they were nothing in front of a heavenly emperor. They might not be able to step into the heavenly emperor realm in the future. Any heavenly emperor was a talented person. When they were young, they were not inferior to them. Therefore, they didn't have the slightest arrogance in front of a heavenly emperor. Also, do you think that if I really kill Lu Ming, the other heavenly emperors won't do anything? Now that the heavenly realm is facing a great enemy, there are some rules. Do you understand? The old man in a gray robe continued. This disciple knows his mistake. Xinghe nodded repeatedly. You have to settle the grudges between you. After this matter in Mount Eternal is over, go back and cultivate in seclusion. Don't come out until you become a true emperor. The old man in a gray robe instructed. Yes, Xinghe nodded. At the same time, his eyes flashed with cold light. Lu Ming, in the future, I will kill you with my own hands. If you can't become a true emperor, I don't believe that your combat strength will continue to increase. Xinghe roared in his heart. Yuan Xian's eyes flashed with cold light. He had the same thoughts as Xinghe. In the future, he would personally chop off Lu Ming's head and seize the Primal Chaos Scripture. The Primal Chaos Scripture is mine. Yuan Xian roared in his heart. The Heavenly Emperor's body is mine. Xinghe gritted his teeth. On the other side, Lu Ming also sighed. This time, he could have killed Yuan Xian and Xinghe. Unfortunately, Xinghe's master was in Alcate Ancient City, and all his efforts were in vain. Lu Ming could also guess that the Heavenly Emperor would not lower himself to deal with a boundary emperor like him. It's okay. As long as you become a true emperor, dealing with these small fries will be a piece of cake. Dandan walked over and said with a smile. He knew very well that Lu Ming was able to comprehend many kinds of laws before becoming a true emperor. Once he became a true emperor, there would be an astonishing change. Well done, chirp chirp. Bubble jumped from Dandan's shoulder to Lu Ming's shoulder and hung on Lu Ming's body, rubbing against him. Let's continue to stroll. Lu Ming smiled. Everyone strolled around Alcate Ancient City again. At the same time, Lu Ming learned from Bubble that Long Chun, Ouyang Wushuang, and the others were still cultivating in seclusion and did not come here. After this battle, Lu Ming's name was completely spread. Before becoming a true emperor, he had already mastered many kinds of laws. Legend had it that he had mastered different kinds of supreme laws and defeated Yuan Xian, Blue Cloud, and Yan Shi. Such combat strength was shocking. In the past, Lu Ming's name was only spread among a small group of sky prides. Now many people knew about it. However, there were also many people who did not believe it and held a skeptical attitude. They felt that the fact that he had mastered different kinds of supreme laws was too fake. They did not believe it. Since ancient times, no one had been able to master two different kinds of supreme laws. This was regarded as the truth. Now, it was said that someone who had not become a true emperor could master different kinds of supreme laws. How could they believe it? Even those who had seen Lu Ming in action were skeptical. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.